Welcome back to the Union Street Podcast, the #1 arts and entertainment podcast in Southern Illinois. We have a very cool episode today with the one and only Mr. Jonathan Raby in the building.
Greetings.
Thanks, John, for being here, man.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. We just had John on our first Union Street session back in action. It's been a little while, but we're happy to have you back, man.
Man, what an honor to do the first one back. Jeez.
I think we maybe set the bar a little too high with that. I don't know if we needed
to. The amount of talent that's in this area, good night.
That's true. That's true. And
you're
on that list because if you don't know who John is, he is a musician. Like I just said, just played a whole 30-minute set.
Yep.
But he's also a business owner in West Frankfort.
I am.
So I want to talk about that. Okay. Both those things, your relation to Southern Illinois, what your view is on what's happening, because you've created your own way and force in West Frankfort and have some awesome, awesome businesses there. So I want to talk about that and your music, what inspires you, and just your background too, man.
All right.
I want to go there.
Let's go. It's a wild ride.
I'm sure it is. But hey, we're here now, and we're here to share some of that story. Maybe if somebody's listening, they can get something out of this. That'd be great too. If not, we can just have a good time and get to know each other a little bit better here.
I'm all about a good time.
Hey, and thank you, David Williams, who's just off camera, for producing this show. Thank you, David. He was also David Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Up-and-coming media artist and musician as well. So you might see him on the Union Street session or the Union Street podcast very soon. So
come on,
stay tuned. I'm calling it. So anyways, back to John. So let's talk about it. How'd you get your start in music, first of all? Because I feel like, not everybody knows that story. They see you play, but where did that come from?
Yeah.
Let's dive into that.
All right. Well, I've never known a life without it, really. So my mom and dad, they met years and years ago playing music, traveling around the region, playing at different churches, and that's how they met. So I've got three older brothers. I never know how many family members
it's hard to keep track.
It is. I've got three older brothers, and they just kind of raised us up into it. And so they would take us along and do these shows at these churches called Bind Us Together, and they would have me and my brothers on the stage singing songs. They would just give me an unplugged microphone because I was a toddler, and I would chuck it. But yeah, part
of the show.
It was part of the show. Yeah, but that's how it began. Just growing up in a musical household. My dad's a singer-songwriter. He recorded an album in the 70s down in Nashville, and my mom sang on it. She's a piano player.
Wow.
So that's it. When I was 8, my brothers played guitar and bass, and they sang, and my mom goes, "We need a drummer in the family." And I was like, well, I'll do that. And so 8 years old, I started taking drum lessons from a local guy, and just kind of kept the journey going.
Yeah, so it sounds like you have a really talented family, first of all.
Yep, big time.
So that, I'm sure, sounds like it influenced you pretty greatly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my two oldest brothers, they were in a band called The Visual, and they played around the area. They played Muggsy McGuire's, Copper Dragon.
Oh, I remember those fine establishments.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
That's good days.
Yeah, they were. So I was in junior high watching them as a band start to do stuff. Like they did a tour with the band 7 Mary 3, did some big stuff.
Cool.
They recorded a really pro EP, but I was watching them as a junior high kid and going, that's possible? Like, I want to do that. And so me and some 7th grade buddies, we got together. They were learning their instruments, and we would go in my parents' basement and we would hammer out some songs that were not very good. But also, at the church we were going to at the time, they would let me come up and play drums on Sunday morning too.
Nice.
So it was just this big combination of people believing in me and going, here's an opportunity here, here's an opportunity there, and me going, all right, I'll try that.
Yeah. So without those people to look up to, it sounds like, that sounds like it's such an important part of the story, and just having the opportunity too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And showing you what could be done through your brothers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then getting to play on the stage at church, I'm sure that was like, wow, I'm on the stage now, performing in front of people, because there's a transition there between just playing and performing, right?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, big time. And at that time, I'm not sure honestly if I recognized that. I was just stoked to be behind a drum kit, banging away, and it was way too loud. I didn't know dynamics yet. I was just hitting as hard, and people were just kind and going, "You're doing great, buddy.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
You're going somewhere with it.
Yeah.
Just keep it up."
Yeah.
That's good. So you've continued to play. Sounds like. When did you start performing? So you outside of the church band for your own music. Was there a point where you started, hey, I'm going to start writing. I'm going to maybe not just play songs that already, people know, which is great too. It's a great way to start.
Yeah.
But was there, what was that like?
Yeah. So kind of in that junior high time. So I was the singer of our band at that point.
Okay.
And then
from outside the drums, you stepped
outside
out.
the drums.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So I was writing lyrics and melodies. Then that band kind of, we ended, and I joined another band playing the drums, and we were writing melodies and as many harmonies as we could fit in. Like there were 4 of us, and everyone sang. We were choir boys.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But also in that,
I like that though. 4-piece harmony sounds cool though.
Yeah,
it was lovely to the ears.
It was something. We did no harmony, so it was at least pleasing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I picked up the guitar around that time also, and just strumming simple chords, and started writing not very good songs. Then, so I was trying to be emotional and deep, and I didn't have any depth at all.
Well, when you're that age, you don't have anything to pull from, really.
Not a
I mean, it's an
thing.
empty well, essentially. You're just
Yeah.
like, where's my experience?
Yeah, there was none. So they were like these dark, tormenting lyrics, and they just meant nothing.
But that's fun, man. You gotta learn how to write a song. That sounds like one of the hardest things to me, is like, how do you write a song? I mean, you just come up with something and you just do it. I mean, I think to even the average person, that's like, that would be a daunting thing to do. And then to put yourself out there too, whether you perform it or play it for someone, they say, hey, you suck, or hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a chance of that. So, I mean,
yeah.
I have a lot of respect for musicians for just getting out there and doing it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And there are some times where I do think, I think I might just be too stupid to care what people think, so I'm just up here doing whatever. But then I do have moments like when I'm supposed to talk to people from the stage, and I'm just really bad at it. Like, oh yeah, you're looking at me doing this thing that, like, I've practiced in my room, and like I can do that really well. But oh yeah, we're in the room together. You want to hear from me?
Yeah, that breaking down that like wall,
Yeah.
if you will, from the audience. It could be scary, and you could be awkward for sure, but I think it's great. So to just try, right? That you just got to get up there and do it. And
You just got to do it.
I'm glad you were encouraged, because now you're still putting out new music, right?
I am.
So let's go forward a little. So you started writing your own songs. When did the recording start? And maybe talk about Southern Illinois a little bit, and was there opportunities for you to record here, to play venues even at this time? Can you touch on that?
Yeah, totally. So, all right. So I grew up in Benton, and we had a good group of musician friends. We were all in marching band together. We all played our instruments outside, and we became tight, and we had parents that were really kind and would let us practice in their basements and garages.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the music we were making, so when I was in high school, I joined a hardcore band, metal. Oh, wow. We were screaming and we were noisy, and it was fun. I loved it. Our poor parents. My mom was going through college at the time, and she would do her homework while we're practicing below her somehow.
That seems like a skit out of a movie or something. Like,
yeah.
Can you keep it down? Like,
yeah. Oh, she was just gracious. She would go to the front porch and sit and do her work, and we're down there just going bananas.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a really special time in Southern Illinois then, and that we're talking 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, that era. There were a lot of people around that were a lot of bands, and we just kind of fed into each other. And we were from different towns. There was a group from Carmi, there was a group from Harrisburg, there were groups from Carbondale, Heron, and we all met at Heron Teen Town, which was a huge thing for us. There was another local fellow. His name was Dirty Hall. Shout out Dirty. He would put on these shows that had a lot of bands on it, and we would all just go there every weekend, and that's what we would do. And so we would just kind of inspire each other. One band was doing something totally different than another band, and we loved it. I don't know. It was something really special that played into that. So during that time, let's see. Oh no, there was a band, Shuttle. So 8th grade to freshman. I've been in way too many bands.
Yeah.
It gets convoluted. Really, my whole musical thing is convoluted. But
keep playing, man.
Yeah. So 8th grade to freshman year, in that time, we recorded an EP, and that was the first time that I had sat behind a drum kit recording and gone through that process of we're building the song and we're layering. So here's your part, here's a scratch track, and you're doing the whole bit. So I did that with that band, and then my metal band, we recorded in Johnson City. There was a guy who had a house recording studio.
Nice.
And so we recorded an EP there. And just getting to know that world was very different than performing live. Like, we had to know our stuff, and you learn the nuances of how you actually sound, and you have to make those adjustments to sound better. So we would do that. And then I started recording my own stuff kind of at the end of my high school year. I was writing really sappy love songs at that point. So I'd gone from dark and brooding to like really positive, dripping love songs that were acoustic and like they weren't good either.
Well, it sounds like there was a transition there, though.
It was something.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, like I guess one thing that my dad listened to a lot of 70s singer-songwriters growing up. So then I learned metal music and pop punk. I've just always had this draw to all kinds of music because there's so much beauty in all of it. So just experimenting with all of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Do you think there is just experimenting and finding your sound?
Yeah.
Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Just
totally.
trying what you like and, figuring out what that even is.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. So were you performing still at Heron Teen Town at that point in high school?
Yeah.
How long was that around?
Man, I mean, even my early days at college was kind of the end of it, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Like there were some people holding on,
because some people listening won't even know what that is.
Not
so could
at
you
all.
talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah,
and like your experience there and what it was.
Yeah. It was this building in the middle of Heron, and it was something by day. I really don't know.
Okay.
And they would rent it out, and we could rent it out for shows. So it was just this big open room with checkered floor. The stage was where the monitor line was, and we would set up and play these hardcore shows, and there were a lot of bands, and we would just flock there. I mean, it really wasn't anything more than that.
Yeah.
It was just a big room that we would go make noise in.
And that was so cool because if somebody maybe isn't from around here, I can't think of many other opportunities for people to get on stage like that outside of a bar.
Yeah.
Especially for young people at that time.
Mm-hmm.
That was like kind of a thing of its own, it sounds like.
It was.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in this show, we like to like paint the picture of like the Southern Illinois music art scene, and like places like that have an important place in the story.
Big time.
And in your story,
Mm-hmm.
right? Coming out and getting you out there more.
Mm-hmm.
And, since then you've kept recording, you've kept doing things, and now you've got a venue of your own, basically, coffee shop, right?
Yeah.
So you started recording your own music in high school. I want to get to the coffee shop. I want to get to what you've been doing in West Frankfort, but I do want to give
the progression,
the background. So here's a cliffhanger. Hold on. We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. And so recording your own music, you're finding your own sound. And so high school happens, still playing, marching band, still the same thing.
Yep.
What happens next?
All right. So graduate. Then let's see. I played with a couple different bands. Me and Eric Stanley, we started playing some mellower music, and then there was one day he and I found ourselves in the living room of one of my great friends, Josh Clifton. I'm name dropping all kinds of people right now. Yeah. Josh is one of my best friends, but we found ourselves in his living room, and we started writing a couple songs, which ended up becoming his band, Ravenhill.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. And so I played with Ravenhill for quite a few years after that. We had a fun dueling drummer thing, me and another guy, Chris Good, where we would face each other, but both of us had that drumline background, so we would build these drum parts together to complement each other, and it was really fun. It was really raucous, and that was kind of that. So we were experimenting in kind of that blues rock indie realm that was different than the metal realm,
and so still finding new sounds, finding new ways to express music. Sounds like, right?
Yeah.
And were you guys what type of venues were you play at then? If it wasn't the Harrington town at that point, was it local? Was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a little bit of local, a little bit of travel.
Okay. So the travel starts picking up. Sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're getting outside. So we would play in St. Louis. Quite a few different places up there. Cicero's was one we played a lot on the Loop. Loved that place. It's no longer with us. But we would play there. We played off Broadway in St. Louis, Foo Bar. We played in Nashville. We did a couple tours that were Alabama, Arkansas, just kind of going around.
Sure.
We played Cornerstone Music Festival, which is also no longer with us. Yeah, so that's kind of where the traveling.
So
began.
how is that different? It might seem obvious, but for anybody that no experience with this,
Sure.
how is that different than touring musician versus just playing your local shows? How's that different?
Yeah, so you do end up sleeping in a lot of places that you never thought you would, or thought were possible. Like, this is where we're gonna sleep.
Couch surfing.
Yep, big time. Seedy hotels. All the kind of tropes that you hear. Like, it's real. Like, we're not making a lot. We're out here. You learn to get really inventive when you start touring and you've got zero budget. Like there was one run that we did where we were in, I think it was a Montana minivan. And
my mom had one of those.
So
Yes.
you know what the space we're working with.
Yes.
There were 6 of us in the band.
Oh, okay.
No. Were there 7 at that time? There may have been 7. We had 2 drum kits that we nesting penguin. We nested them inside of each other. We had everyone's amp, all the guitars, as small of luggage as we could fit, and we crammed it. We did it. Like, we Tetris'd that man.
I don't know how you pulled that off.
I don't either to this day, but it was a miracle. Like, it showed me like what was possible. Like, I was in the back in this like in the back corner, we left a hole, and that's where I sat because I was the smallest. So,
You're going back there.
yeah, for real. Like we'd be driving, and I would be like peering through everything. Like, what are you guys talking about?
I'm back here still.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You guys are having fun? Cool.
By the drum.
Yeah.
So yeah, learning what it takes to pursue, your music.
Yeah.
That the grindstone, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That's real.
It totally is. Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I would say there's a lot from those days that I pulled into what I do now that make me go, we don't know how to do this, but we need something done, so we'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And if it sucks, then we'll deal with it. We'll make the changes.
Yeah.
But if it might work and it might be really cool, but you don't know until you try it. And a lot of that came from those days of just, we got to figure something out.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
There really is a spirit of that in Southern Illinois with DIY, whether it's, music or arts or businesses, it's just we're going to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
We might not have every answer. Definitely not.
Yeah.
But, we can do this ourselves and figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. Being able to tour, gave you some insight on, the hard knots or, what to do.
Yeah.
What not to do and how you can make something happen you didn't know was possible, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got a visitor
Well,
here.
I'm glad we have a friend.
Her first time on the podcast.
All right.
Oh my
What's
gosh,
her name?
This is Bells.
Hello, Bells.
Bells, you coming to say hi? This is the office cat for anybody just listening.
Makes me feel like home. We've got 4.
Okay, good.
And a dog.
Good, okay.
And 2 guinea pigs and a lizard.
Oh my gosh.
We've got a
The
zoo.
whole farm sounds
Oh,
like.
yeah, absolutely.
That's fun, man. Animals are great. Lighten the mood. Good to have around the office.
That's right.
But, yeah. Yeah. Goodbye, Bells. But so touring, coming back, you mentioned what you do now.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that? What do you do now? Is that a loaded question?
It is a loaded question because there is a lot.
Yeah. Now, if you follow online, you might know what I'm talking about, right? But if anybody that doesn't know, what do you do, man? Tell us a little bit what you've been up to lately.
Yeah. So my current day is I own a barbershop, hair salon.
What's the name?
It's called Berg's Hair Parlor, and my wife and I own it together. We've been building it for a little while, and then we own a coffee shop as well, which is right next door to our barbershop.
Super convenient.
Yep, it's called Gambit Coffee Bar. And then we also own a 100-year-old building in downtown West Frankfort that we've been just fumbling our way through renovating.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big, man.
Yep.
So first of all, congrats on all that, because that's
Thank you.
not easy to pull off whatsoever.
Nope.
And it started with the barbershop, though.
Uh-huh.
And how I don't know, tell me about how that happened. Like, you started there, and then you mentioned your wife. Maybe you can mention her name as well. But, then, let's do a coffee shop and buy this building. What was there a process behind that, or how did that come about?
Yeah. So to get to Berg's, we have to backtrack a little bit. So Jolynn and I, we got married in 2011, and we moved to Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, wow. That's a big part of the story we don't want to miss.
Maybe not.
Well, I think it's important because
Yeah.
people can hear your story and maybe they can relate to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
It was a huge key. So since I was in 7th grade, I wanted to live down there. And after we got married, a friend of mine was living there and he wanted to move back. But to save the space in the house that he was staying, he messaged me. He goes, "Hey, I heard you wanted to come down. Do you want to just switch spots?" So I took his place in the house before we got married. So I went down early, kind of got a job. I worked at Barnes & Noble for a little while, but also was looking for a hair salon.
Yeah.
and was able to get us an apartment. But yeah, so we lived down there for a little while, and I started playing with David Curtis, who was in the band Run Kid Run.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
another
Shout
dear
out.
friend
Now
of mine.
that's a big solo band from back in the day, right?
Yeah, yeah. So they are also a huge key in that whole teen town era of, like, they made it out. Like, they did it. Like, they toured the world.
Wow.
And so we're all looking at them going, you guys did it. Like, that's possible. So we had this huge level of inspiration, and they're just the sweetest guys on the planet. That it, like, their success that they had, you would never know because they don't have big heads at all. So when I moved to Nashville, David was needing a drummer for his solo stuff, which his drummer was the one who moved back.
How convenient is that?
Yeah, so he goes, you want to play for me? And so I started playing with David, which I met through him. Another kind of key in where my music is today. His name is David Gross. He was playing bass with him. And we just, like, from day one, we became best friends, like, tight. So that happened. So we were traveling with David. We recorded on his solo project stuff. Like, we did a full length and an EP.
Down in Nashville.
And then there were a couple, like, I had other friends who were in the recording world, and so I started getting drumming gigs that way. So there was a mix of live and a mix of recording. So I was getting this more pro picture, like, this is how people really do this stuff.
Right. So you had been wanting to move there to record. I'm thinking that you get into these studios that are probably like, wow, a Nashville studio.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
At that time, you're there, you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. So this is all the expedited version.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I was doing that kind of stuff, and I was working in this great hair salon, and we got involved in this great church down there. We had our daughter down there. So it was this just ball of things growing, if that sounds like a thing.
Snowball.
Yeah, a lot of things were happening. It was a what's the word? It was a crucial time in mine and Jolynn's relationship, our professional careers, our family, all of it was just boom happening right there. So we were doing that, learning all kinds of stuff. And then at our daughter's first birthday party, some friends of ours, Jordan and Sol Murphy, their daughter, they had just moved back to Southern Illinois from Seattle.
Okay. West Coast.
Yep. And so they had just moved back, but they came down for a birthday party, and Jordan and I had this conversation. And this was really the pinnacle, because at that point, I would tell clients when I'm working, we had all the same conversations. Where are you from? You're not from Nashville. Where'd you move from? Yada, yada. I could never see myself leaving Nashville. There was one time, she'd been kind of thinking this, and Jordan came down. We were driving and having this conversation and talking about where he came from, talking about Nashville, and talking about home. And we both kind of had this realization separately of, like, the things that we do. Like, he's an artist. He does murals. He's a painter. Just interior design. He's a brilliant mind when it comes to the arts. And we were having this conversation of, like, we do these creative things, and we know a lot of people from where we're from that do those creative things too. And they move away and go to another place that is loaded with all kinds of creative things, and everyone's doing the same thing. And then when we go home, we go, well, there's nothing here. This place is dull. Why do we even come back here? You know? And we had the realization in that conversation of, we have that reaction because the ones with the creative gifts take their gift away. They take it away from where they were born. And it was like, oh man, I've taken this gift in me, because I know it's more than music. I've taken this gift away, and I need to go pour it back in there. And so I kid you not, I walked back into the house from that drive, and now this is where our faith comes into play. Jolynn had felt like God had been telling her, you guys need to go back home. And so when she didn't tell me that, because she had the thought, like, if I tell him, he's going to say, no way, like, we're not going home, we're staying here. Which she was right at that point. And when I walked in the house, I said nothing. I didn't say a word. And she goes, God told you we're moving home, didn't he? And I go, yeah. Wow. Yeah, it just, like, we had that both internal thing that was like, all right, we're going back. So we had that thought, and this is where the kind of miraculous stuff comes in. Whether you believe that stuff or not, I'm going to get spooky for a minute. So we would walk our daughter in the neighborhood because she was really hard to put to sleep. And we would walk in the neighborhood, and we're looking at these houses, and we're like, all right, maybe we should ask God, all right, if this is real and we need to move back, we don't have any money to buy a house or anything. Like, God, would you provide a house for us? And it was within like a week or two, some friends of ours contacted us and said, hey, there's this guy that we know. He said he's got a house available. Someone can live in it rent free. He just needs it to be taken care of because he's living somewhere else. What? Would you guys want it? And so we were like, okay, yeah.
I guess this is your sign.
Yeah, for real. So from September.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was wild.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
So from September to December that year, we came back and we were here.
Wow.
We relocated everything. And so that's where the starting of Berg's comes in.
Okay. Wow, man. I mean, talk about a divine mission, a divine calling.
Yeah.
To your home. That's really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That is special, especially with you and your wife kind of like just having that same exact calling at the same exact time.
Yeah.
I mean, that, you guys, wow. Kudos to you two, because I think it takes a lot to get synced up like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And because again, that church that we were a part of, like, there were people in there that really helped us in our marriage and learn ways to communicate early on. And like that became the principle for us. Like, when it comes to big things, we don't make a decision now unless we both feel that resting inside of us. And it's worked so far.
Yeah, man, I'd say.
Yeah.
So you were miraculously given a place, a roof, right?
Yeah, a roof.
Place to live.
Oh.
Okay, we're good.
Beautiful.
So you were given a place to live,
mm-hmm.
and made that move back. So, wow, talk about a leap, and wow, that's bold.
Yeah.
That's a bold action, and that's, fortune favors the bold, so which we'll get into. So how does that go into Berg's then?
Mm-hmm.
After that point, you guys are back.
Yep.
Both doing hair in Nashville, right?
Yeah, I was doing hair. She was working at Papa Murphy's, and she assisted at a salon for a little bit. But also, we had a baby. So we were trying to figure that out. We lived
That's
with
a lot to juggle, especially as a young couple as well.
Oh yeah. Thankfully, my brother, we all had a house together, and when she would go to work, he and I would take care of this infant.
Oh, wow.
Both of us are going, like, we would take turns trying to get her to stop crying. Like, it was a whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Sounds brutal.
Yeah. Oh, it was tough. Kids are hard. They're the hardest thing on the planet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the most rewarding.
Yeah. That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, so we moved back. Jordan was back, and he was doing tattoos in a small studio at the time, and I was working at the Night Shield, which is a children's shelter in West Frankfort. It's an awesome organization. If you don't know about it, the Night Shield. I was a janitor there and helping with kids.
Nice.
But I set up a chair in his studio and started working, and we had this. I think we had talked about it in Nashville also, but we'd had this thought of like tattoos and hair pair well together. Wouldn't that be cool if we tried that? So we tried it, and we were looking for a building and found the for rent sign was in where Berg's is now.
Oh, wow.
And looking at all the spaces, it was like we like that one. That one's there are 3 storefronts in it, and that one took the least amount of work to get going. So we started there, and that was I think it was 2015 when we started doing that.
Cool.
Yeah. And so we split the shop in half. I had the front half, he had the back half. There was another tattoo artist working with him, and that's
wow.
where it started.
Cool, man.
Because also
I had no idea.
Yeah.
This story. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Like we did the deal on a handshake.
Wow.
Which is
old school,
unheard of. We may have learned why later on.
Yeah. Sure.
But it was great at the time. Like, it was a handshake. Our rent was cheap. He let us do whatever we wanted in there. It was cool.
Yeah.
We also had our second kid at the time too. So
growing family,
growing business.
Wow.
And yeah. So at that time, this is also another miraculous part. When I first got licensed, people had asked me, are you going to start your own shop? And I never wanted that. Even in high school, I never wanted to be a business owner. It was like, I don't want to do that. I know there's a lot of responsibility with it, and I don't think that's for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of happened. And it was like, okay, we're doing this. Like, it's just me in a chair. I'm just cutting hair, taking care of my customers, and like
providing a service.
Yeah. It wasn't much more than that. It was wild. Through Instagram, a lot of my customers were coming from out of town.
Wow.
It took a minute for West Frankfort to kind of get on board with us.
Really?
Yeah, because we were a little different. Jordan has great roots there, and people know him as an artist. So that was it was very helpful. But it still kind of took a lot of the people just shifting their mind from what they thought a barbershop was to what ours is.
Mm-hmm. What they had been accustomed to, or these new kids, these young guys doing this new thing, rock and roll.
Yep.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
That's that's normal, I think, for towns around here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little hesitant to those things.
Yeah.
But sounds like social media was a great way to get people to come into the shop back then. And then the locals, right, started. Is that right?
Yeah.
Being more aware of, okay, this is what it is, a little more comfortable with what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. It took some time, but taking pictures and just like we tried to stylize stuff cool, what we thought was cool. And people eventually started catching on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so what do you attribute that to? Why did they catch on? What do you think made them comfortable?
Honestly, I think so many businesses have come in and out of our town that was part of it. They already had a guy. Like, I'm not going to go to this new thing. It's probably not going to last. There was the tattoo stigma for some older folks. I did have some customers There's this lady, her husband comes to me, and he's older, maybe 70s. And there was like a group of their friends that she was telling them, you should go to that new barbershop and get your hair cut. And one of them goes, well, they do tattoos there. I don't think I can do that. And she goes, well, this guy goes. And I was like trying to go like, look, it's okay. So there were funny things like that.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so the shop, the growing business you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
I had heard a story possibly, but I want to wait because maybe they will get into this.
Oh, okay. Color me intrigued.
We'll see. I don't know.
What stories have you heard?
We'll see. We'll see. No, just with the hesitation of some of the people that might not be comfortable with this or that at first.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a story that, maybe was there like a couch on the side of the street or something and you were playing music there or something like that? Is this ringing any bells at all?
Well, give me more details.
Okay, and so,
Yeah.
they're like, who are these kids sitting on this couch playing music? But then flash forward however many years, they're like, we want those kids out there on the couch playing music. Is that not the heart of this? Maybe I'm mixing up my stories
no,
here.
there's something to that.
Okay.
Let's see.
Like they were hesitant, but now in the past, they were hesitant in the past, but now they're like, we want this.
Yeah, I think I know what
there
you're
something
talking
there?
about. Well, we would sit outside
Okay.
in the front, and we would play music.
Okay.
And there was a couple different people. We would just sit in like the opening entranceway, and we would sit out there and play music.
Nice.
Like during Old King Cole.
Oh, cool.
There's a lot of people walking by, and so yeah, definitely that played into it. Actually, one of our barbers, he was really young then, and his dad brought him up, and I think he had a mandolin, and he sat down and he was playing with us, and
That's cool.
yeah. So flash forward, now he's working with us,
That's
which is
cool,
very cool.
man. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some community outreach right there on that.
Mm-hmm.
That stupid sounds like.
Yeah.
So you the shop's going, 2015 on. You're doing your thing there,
Mm-hmm.
and so I guess the next thing. I mean, is you're getting more established in West Frankfort there. What makes you say, you know what, we could do a coffee shop here too? Am I missing anything, or can we go there?
Yeah. So, I forget the year. I've got bad dates. So Jordan eventually stopped tattooing. He wanted to pursue some other things. So the barbershop became me. And
So that's a transition too.
yep, there's a transition there. There were a couple other tattoo artists back there. So we tried to keep it going for a little bit. And at that point, we had brought on another barber. So there were now two of us, and we were doing that. The tattoo shop, everyone kind of eventually just fizzled out in their own way. And Jolynn this is where she comes in and becomes more prevalent.
Okay.
So she had started taking care of clients just sporadically at that point. She wasn't full-time or anything, but so the shop began morphing from a barbershop tattoo shop to a barbershop hair salon. And also at that point, this is where the fun stuff with their building starts to come into play.
Okay.
Some papers started showing up on the doors of all the storefronts that the taxes needed paid. And so we would contact our landlord. Hey, here you go. And then after that happened a couple times, there was one day, it was a very busy day in the shop. We had, I think at that point, we had 3 barbers. There was a couple hairstylists going on. There were a lot of people. It was a busy time of year too. Like, I I don't know, I think it was like the winter season.
Yeah, taxes come in October usually, so probably after that.
Yeah,
holidays.
time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this guy comes in and he goes, "Hey, can I talk to you for a moment?" Yeah, he goes, "So it turns out I'm with the bank and I'm your new landlord." I go, "Oh, okay."
Wow.
So, yeah. So also at that time, whenever the business became completely ours, Jolynn and I had this conversation of, I think we need to have a lease in writing with our landlord.
Yeah.
And thank God we did.
Wow. What a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the banker goes, whatever your lease is, just give it to me and we'll honor it.
Wow.
They were amazing. They were fantastic. So we're like, okay, it was a real simple lease. It was like a 5-year or something at this price.
That's
and
great.
so we gave it to him. They honored it. But he also goes, in that conversation, he goes, "So if you want to buy the building, you can." And I was just like, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It needs a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been upstairs? It's a pigeon home.
Yeah.
So
Old building, right?
100 years old, built in 1910. It's very old. It's got 3 storefronts on the bottom, and the upstairs is one giant open space. There's some rooms, but it's all like one entrance, and it's like 5,000 square feet up there. It's huge.
That's huge.
It's giant.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was far out of our capacity to go, yeah, we'll renovate this. We know how.
Mm-hmm.
So we just left it there for a while. Fast forward a little bit. There were people who had looked at buying it, and we'd had some conversations with some contractors who helped break kind of the unknown down and make things a little less spooky for us.
That's huge, because the unknown is the ultimate fear, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you talk with someone who knows about a thing, and they can look at it and go, oh, yeah, all you got to do is just do this, and then you're good. And it was like, oh, well, that's way less scary. Okay. So time passes, and we had that conversation of, like, this is a big decision. Like, how do you, like, are you feeling that? And at different times we weren't. And at one point it was like, that's what we have to do. And so we did it.
Wow.
We worked with the bank. They were amazing on transferring and everything. So we did it. We took ownership of the building.
Wow.
This is where it's all fun. It's all fun. 6 days after we signed all the papers, it was a Sunday morning, and I was leading worship at a church, and it was me and my mom, and we were practicing, and my phone rings, and I think it was Jolynn. Yeah, I think it was. It was Jolynn, or it was the neighbor. I don't remember who it was.
Somebody called.
Somebody called, and they go, "Hey, the back corner of your building, the bricks have collapsed."
Oh, no.
And I'm standing there.
6 days.
6 days after. Yeah, I just go, damn. And my mom I'd never cussed in front of my mom before. Like, it's not in our vocabulary. And like, she's just so gracious, and she puts her hand on my shoulder. She was like, I knew something bad had happened.
It must have been pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, okay, we'll figure it out. So that was like, you own this building. Now you have to pay $30,000 to get your bricks fixed.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Yeah. Super huge.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's I mean, for a small business, man, that's a scary thing, dude.
Oh yeah. We were just like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So thankfully there are systems in cities that can help you get those things taken care of.
That's amazing. And so it sounds like, I mean, that's a miracle, first of all, that, that was provided for.
Yeah. Totally.
I mean, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So wow. So there's a, more theme going on here, continued on your story.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the bricks are falling down, but you get them repaired.
We got them repaired.
And working with people to help you do that.
Mm-hmm.
amazing. It's really great. And shout out to those people in the community that is supporting there, because it's these old buildings need a lot of work.
Yeah, they do.
And if you don't, they'll fall down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, they will.
So going through that, you're like, you know what? You can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great.
Yeah. So, so we get the bricks worked on. Like TIF money is a great thing. It really helped us there. And let's see. Some of these details are going to get kind of fuzzy but
yeah, that's not important, you know. I mean, the win or whatever, you know. But I think what is, you know, just having that. Maybe you could speak to just the, you know, that feeling of the responsibility versus from a renter to an owner. Mm-hmm. You know, it's all on you, right? At that point.
Yeah, yeah. So we had to figure it out, and with it being a 100-year-old building, we did have this sense of like we do love old things. Our shop has a lot of old things in it, and we want to see it restored because we know there's goodness in it. So we just kind of like, we had to put that hat on and go, all right, how do we do this now? Who do we talk to? How do things like this even, you know, come about? How to start fixing something like this?
Sure.
So let's see.
Because there's 3 storefronts. Right now, only one was operational.
Yep. Only
basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Only one. So one of the guys we had talked to, he had told us his concept, which is probably a known concept. I didn't know it at the time. He goes, yeah, you could just white box the other rooms, which just means you make it, give it power, give it a bathroom, heating and air, and then whoever rents it can do whatever they want. And so it was like, all right, we'll do that. The storefront right next door to us was the least amount of work out of the 2. So we would just start going in there and tearing things down that needed torn down, or like scraping the ceiling, whatever needed to be done in there. We started working in there because it was storage at the time. So we were doing that. In the midst of that, we needed windows that needed fixed upstairs because they were just boarded up, and pigeons were living in there. So I had to, there was one day I go, all right, I got to get these pigeons out so I can have, like, they can just stop nesting.
Yeah, living in my building.
Right. So
without paying rent.
Right. They're the worst squatters, man.
Squawkers. No, squatters.
Yeah. So I went up there one day, like they leave during the daytime, and I went up at a time it was like, they're gone. Okay, I can board up the holes and get rid of them so they can't come back in. But I need my tools. I got to go and get them. So but by the time I left and came back, all of the pigeons had come back in. And it was like, I've only got this time frame. I'm just going to go through with it. And PETA's probably going to hate me, but I just boarded it up. I wasn't thinking clearly. But so a couple days or weeks passed, and someone went to go look at it. We hadn't bought it at that point, but I needed to get them out. We had access to the whole building because the landlord just didn't care.
Yeah.
But someone went to go look upstairs, and he came into the shop and he goes, hey, there's kind of a morbid scene over here. And so I walked with him in the door going upstairs. There were wings sticking out the bottom. And when you open the doors, there was just this pile of dead birds at the bottom. And I just go, oh my gosh. And so we went upstairs. And this is a fun fact if you didn't know this about pigeons. When they get into survival mode, and they're hungry, like they don't just fly around and drop dead because they can't eat. They turn to cannibals.
Oh, no.
And so they had turned against each other.
Oh my God.
And in our upstairs, there were 3 perfect piles of birds, all dead.
Oh my God.
And yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's not what you want to see.
No. So that was another bonding moment that Jolynn and I had, where there was one night, I think my parents had our kids, and we go, all right, we got to get rid of these birds. So we go up there with shovels, masks, and black trash bags, and we're shoveling these carcasses into the bags, going, we didn't think about this when we got married.
This is it, honey.
Yeah. Thick and thin, for better or for worse. This is it.
Yep.
So we had one of those moments. So those kinds of things come with owning a 100-year-old building that you don't anticipate. And
how could you?
Either we're like really strong and bold, or we're stupid. I don't know. Because we didn't think about it. We just went, we got to get these birds out of here. So this is what we're going to do. Here we go.
No one's perfect, bro. And you live and you learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure do.
Yeah. You say, okay, I don't want to dig up scoop up these dead carcasses anymore. So maybe next time, you'll know.
Yeah. We'll find a better way. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll fast forward.
Okay. So pigeons are gone.
Windows replaced upstairs. Looks better. We got it cleaned out. Then we get to 2020, and our barbershop closes for a couple. It was, how long was it? It was a month and a half, I think.
Wow.
It was a long time.
Yeah.
And so in that time, like over the years, we had brainstormed what would be cool, just because we do that. Like, here's an idea of something cool. Coffee shops are cool. I like those. I worked in a small one down there. They're cool.
Yeah.
But 2020, we were really like looking at that space, and we go, like, we need to grow as just kind of what we do, our thing. We've got this space. Maybe we should put a coffee shop in there. And we both kind of had that settling inside of us. So it was like, yeah, I think that feels like the right thing to do. It's a different business than we were familiar with, but yeah, let's go for it. So all throughout that time, I would be up at our building all hours of the night, just going to town on that space and doing everything to get it ready. So, so cleaning it out, painting, working with floor plan ideas. We did know, like, we need help with this one. We need a partner in it, which is where our friend Brady comes in. He was kind of at a point in his life where he was needing to be a part of something different. He needed to do something. And so we're like, we need help with this. So he loves coffee, and we talked to him about, like, you want to be a part, like, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
But do you want to be a part of it? And he was like, yeah, I guess so. And so he would come up and like start helping with renovations. And I mean, that's like the long and short of getting Gambit going. But you had mentioned it being a venue also. Like, we do open mics.
Right.
And part of like our love for the arts and knowing how many people are in this area that are talented, like, part of our drive with it was, like, we want to be able to make a space to help nurture that, give people who may not have an opportunity, or people who are already amazing and people don't know about them. Like, we want that to be a big part of it.
Sure.
So
That's great.
yeah, so that's kind of where we like how that became what it is.
Yeah, and I'll say kudos to you because the coffee shop looks great. When
Thank
you
you.
walk in, the layout, the board games on one side, you've got some
Yep.
cool art hanging everywhere. You've got a
Mhm.
cool mural, the bar's right there,
Mm-hmm.
super inviting atmosphere. The music references, are in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
How did Gambit get its name?
Good question.
Gambit Coffee Shop.
Yeah. So Brady has all those board games are his. He has an unbelievably large collection.
It's a
and
big
that's,
one.
That's not even all of them.
Wow.
But me and there was one day, I think he was gone, and Jordan he and I were hanging out talking about things and brainstorming ideas of names, and so we were like sending texts and just coming up with anything that we could, and we started thinking in the board gaming route and just finding all kinds of terms that were game related, and we saw Gambit and we're like, that is a cool word. What does it mean? And the definition we found said a gambit, it's a chess move mostly, but people know it from chess, but a gambit at its core is a risky opening move. And we were like, man, that feels really good. Like, so we messaged Brady, like, what do you think about this one? It's like, yeah, that sounds cool. And kind of that definition for us was like, this is a risk. And for Jolynn and I, it was like, it's a risk for kind of more of what we want to do. Like, we don't see ourselves just kind of stopping with a business or two businesses per se. I don't know. It was like, this is where the entrepreneurial flower starts to bloom, I guess. So
you get that itch. You're like, wow, we did this. And
yeah,
what else can we do too?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
It's a fire on you.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So that's kind of where that came from.
Mm-hmm.
Now she hates that name.
Of course. Of course.
I'm going to throw her under the bus on that.
Can't please everyone, man. Even
no.
if it is your wife.
Yeah, I try so hard.
Yeah.
Just don't make me go through the drive-thru and order food for her. Never works. But that's okay. It's all right.
Sure. I think it's a cool name.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I knew it as a chess reference. That's kind of what I thought, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So it's a little deeper meaning, which is also cool.
Mm-hmm.
And talk more about, there is a stage there, and you've had live performers there.
We have.
Can you tell us more about that, your open mics?
Mm-hmm.
Touch on that a little more.
Yeah. So we try to do an open mic once a month.
Nice.
And so the stage, it's you can edit that part. Good night. We do an open mic once a month, and really the heart of that was for, like, I know there's a lot of talent and a lot of people who want to perform, but they don't have a show, or they don't have a whole act, or they just like singing some songs that they love. And that's kind of the opportunity for that. Because we try to make everything feel cozy and warm and welcoming, like a living room. And because that makes people feel more comfortable to just sing. Like it's a very low pressure environment. Like I'll regularly perform there and I'm just flubbing all over the place and laugh about it. Like no one's taking it too seriously.
Mm-hmm. It's a real coffee house vibe. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's kind of it, really.
Yeah. What's your go-to coffee drink?
It depends on the time of day, really.
Okay.
I'll start the day with drip coffee because I just need to wake up. I don't care.
Yeah. Just get it in my hand.
Right. Yeah. Black is fine. That's my start of the day. In the afternoon, if it's hot, outside, or if it's cold outside or moderately temperatured, I'll usually go with a cortado.
Nice.
Just because it's like, it's a small drink, it's delicious, it's creamy, boom, you're good. If it's cold, then a lot of times I'll do like 2 double shots of espresso on ice.
Ooh.
'Cause I got 3 kids now.
I was gonna
and
say,
a lot going on, and I gotta stay awake until the end of the day.
Get it going. Man.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a coffee shop of your own right next door as well.
It has paid off big time. Yeah. But sometimes I'll do an espresso tonic or
nice.
an espresso lemonade. Or
Wow.
just
Cool.
Yeah. Whatever.
Right.
Or if someone just makes something, I'll drink that too.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
I'm an iced Americano guy myself.
Oh, very nice.
Throw some oat milk in there. I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Although I'll do black in the morning too, honestly.
Yeah.
But, I like a different kind.
Yeah.
Just depends the mood,
Totally.
But I've had the privilege of coming to your shop a few good times. And definitely recommend the coffee. Definitely recommend the ambiance too.
Thank
it's just
you.
a chill vibe.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. It's good. So let's just keep going. So
Sure.
it seems to me like this is a historic time in Southern Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Different things that are happening.
Yeah.
New cool businesses are coming in. I can relate to your story quite a bit actually.
Yeah.
Having moved away, pursuing my thing in a different city, a different state.
Yeah. Where did you live?
I lived in a few places. Right out of college, I got a job in New Orleans, Louisiana, believe it or not, in the wedding industry.
Whoa.
That's kind of where I got started with my weddings. But eventually, ran its course there. Great place to visit, not so much to live. Ended up in Denver, Colorado, pursuing more media and weddings, and had a good run there. But I was at a crossroads myself. Like, what do I do? Do I stay in this city, amazing city, Denver, with, you said it, 1,000, 100,000 people that are doing the same thing I'm doing, that are trying to do what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard road. And for me, it was a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Living paycheck to paycheck, trying to afford my rent, afford food, literally, that weighs on you. And you're like, why am I doing it here?
Yeah.
And, whenever there wasn't something like that going on here, maybe, or in your town or whatever. So I think that, that was my decision to come back.
Yeah.
And I did. And I started a new production company when I came back. I started a wedding company. That started 2018, 2019.
Okay.
And then, just sort of after that, 2020, we did Union Street Arts. And I think more people need to hear this, your story, my story, particularly if they were from here at one point and are living somewhere else. But those people can come back.
Yeah.
They need to come back.
Yeah.
And they can make something happen here if they have the drive, if they have, if they're on the right, mission, if they believe it. We need that, and we need more good people here and to come back. So I don't know if you want to speak on any of that about, just the opportunity here for people in Southern Illinois that maybe they didn't think existed, but from where you're sitting and what you've done, you're an example of what you can do. Can you just talk to anybody out there that is in a similar situation as we were?
Yeah, totally. So, so part of that first conversation that I had with Jordan, we were looking at where we were and where we came from. We looked at it as 2 rooms. And we go, if both of these rooms were filled with canvases, one set of canvases had paint all over them, they were all painted on, and the other one was blank, as an artist, which room would you choose? You would choose the room with blank canvases. And that's kind of how, looking back at where we here, was like, oh, this is a blank canvas. And to us, a blank canvas means there are endless opportunities, which was a mind shift from what I had heard growing up. Was like, there's nothing here. There's no businesses. Places are closing. There's nothing to do. And to us,
totally. And so you're like, oh, I guess I
got to go somewhere else.
I'm not. It's not for me.
Yep.
I got to leave.
Yep.
Or the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So videography is not a profession.
Right.
You can do that here.
Right.
In high school,
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So it was like, we got to get out.
Mm-hmm.
But then we were like, wait, all the opportunity is here. Like, if there isn't anything, then you have the opportunity to fill that void. Like, you make your own job instead of hoping someone will give you one. It's like, no, you get to do it. So that was really inspiring for us, because it was like, oh, we can do that. Like, we can make something happen.
Yeah.
We're going to paint on the blank canvas.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I think that's important, man, because you're right. Where there's a void, there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And it is a mindset shift.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we wouldn't have realized that as much if we would have stayed.
No, I do think that people do need to move away to see what is possible.
Outside experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a big world out there.
It's a huge world. Like, if you do just stay here, you just end up in the same cycle. But if you go out and see what's possible, then you can come back and go, hey, I've got this in my bag. Like, there's so many different ways to do things, and we don't know about them until we go out and find them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we ended up doing. And it feels kind of cool looking back going, oh, that's what happened. Because it wasn't, I don't think we weren't doing it intentionally. It was just kind of like, we're following the path. And like, here's an opportunity for whatever. So we'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, people can look and see that it is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lot of opportunity in Southern Illinois. There is.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is next for you guys? Is there plans to continue the renovation? Is there another storefront that's being done? The upstairs? Where are you guys at with that? And
mm-hmm.
I want to circle back to your album too and make sure we get a plug at the end for it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So next on the horizon for us is we're working on the outside of our building, redoing the awning.
Oh, wow.
Because it needs done. So that is a big project. We are going to kind of update the interior of Berg's, because January is going to be our 10-year anniversary.
Wow. Congrats, man.
Yeah. So
10 years in business there.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's wild.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So
way to go, man.
So kind of, we need to freshen it up,
mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff.
That's where you started.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's in the books. And then, getting that third storefront kind of cleaned out, ready for someone to rent.
Yeah.
And
everybody's listening, definitely check this out, because it's a up and coming location.
Yeah.
More and more foot traffic, I'm sure you've seen.
Yep.
So, just a little plug to checking in on that.
Yeah. And please have grace with us, because it's a renovation that's not for the faint of heart. Again, like we really don't know what we're doing. We're trying to figure stuff out as we go. Like I learned how to frame walls.
Wow.
And that kind of stuff.
That's useful.
Yeah, I'm not very good at it, but I did it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Then we'll move to the upstairs.
I want to know how to do that.
Yeah, it's harder than it looks.
Yeah, I could imagine. The trades are not easy.
No, they're not. No. And there's guys who they can just do it. Mm-hmm. And I get it, because I'm like that with hair. Like those first few years, you're really thinking about what you're doing. And then as you progress in your craft, the same with music, like they're all the same. Mm-hmm. You get to a point where it becomes a part of you, and you're not thinking about what you're doing. You're thinking about how the end result is.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good, man.
Yeah. But we'll get to the upstairs eventually, and we've got a bunch of different ideas that we haven't landed on anything.
Sure.
But
just stay tuned, folks, because so many cool projects already going on there, and definitely be checking out on the open mics if you need a haircut. Berg's in West Frankfort could be a great option.
Yeah. We do men and women.
Men and women.
Yep.
That's great. Get you a coffee while you're there, before or after. Okay, just get these plugs in.
Yeah.
And support what they're doing there, because it is not easy. It is strenuous, mentally, physically, financially, all those things that. But establishments like yours are the heartbeat of America, the bread and the blood of what makes this country so amazing and unique. It's not the corporate chains. It's not the big businessman. It's the mom and pops, and you guys are doing it. So
yeah, we actually we had an artist come in from North Carolina, traveling through, and he stopped and played. So we do that from time to time, not very often, but we were having a conversation with him, and he goes, dude, the Midwest is like the final frontier. Like the coasts have they're all filled. All the cities they're just overflowing. It's areas like ours that are like, this is the final frontier for possibility. So it's like, oh, dang. All right.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool.
That's a breath of fresh air.
You're in the final frontier, Luke.
Beat me up, Scotty.
That's right. Who's your favorite captain?
I'm ready. Oh, man. That's a tough one. I have to go with the William Shatner. I mean, you got to go old school there. Yeah.
Okay. Have you watched Strange New Worlds yet? It's on Paramount.
No, I can't say that I have. Do I need to?
It's good. I think Captain Pike is my favorite captain now.
Okay.
He's great.
I like him too.
He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has he in the movies too, or no?
Not this guy.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because you get young Spock, and that guy does a great job too. It's good.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Let's check it out. I don't have Paramount, but I might have to look into it.
It's worth it.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's the final frontier, and it's a good time to be doing what we're doing. And I think, man, in the next 10 years, maybe we'll jump on a podcast again and say, man, how about the last 10?
Yeah. What a ride.
God willing.
Yeah, for real.
So,
I think that would be great.
I think too.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Is there anything I missed? Anything you want to say to the people out there?
I did have a thought earlier. What was it about? It was probably some hippy dippy thing. I do that from time to time.
Sure. Hey, man, there's magic in this world. There's miracles. And
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I did want to say one thing. We understand that what we're doing isn't for everyone. Like, we're probably lunatics. But Jolynn and I, we do have in our core also, like wherever we live, we want, like it's our job to take care of it. Like we're in the earth, we tend the earth, we make it better than it was when we got there. And so we landed in West Frankfort, which wasn't our first choice, but we're there. And it was like, okay, we're here. What can we do to this place to make it better than it was? And so that's also in our core.
It's a great value.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, really, I attribute, again, whatever people believe, I don't know, but I attribute everything that has been our core to the gospel. Because even with our building, like we're looking at it going, this is a really old building. Most people have written it off, and I know there's value in it. And we think that about people too. Like every person has value, and there's so many people that others just write off completely because they don't look like they're worth anything. As part of what my song "Do Me Right" is, like tying it to the gospel. There's a line that says, "You're a $10,000 car, but you were paid for with 20 grand," meaning your life is worth this, but somebody paid more than your life is worth so that you can then have new life. And that's what the gospel is to me. So all of that is kind of wrapped in what we do. And like, I mean, we're not like preaching the whole time, but it is our motivation.
Yeah.
So
I think it's amazing.
yeah.
I love that, man. That's so needed. And to have that is, you know, everybody does have value, you know, and to know where you pull that from, you know, that strength, that unending strength. Just keep going there, man. Keep going back over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's the well of hope.
Yeah. It's amazing, dude. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
You know, podcasting.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess going with the music stuff.
Yeah.
So the album comes out November 1st. It's a collection of songs that I've written and recorded over the last decade. The oldest one I think is it might be older than 10 years, but it's kind of the best of what I could pick out of all the songs I've written over that time. Wow. And some new kind of like I have some there's an instrumental hip hop kind of lo-fi track in there, because like that is a part of me. Like I'm a drummer, and I do love those lag beats, those just that groove. So I've got a little bit of that in there, but in some of those interlude tracks are some voice memos of my kids when they were young.
Wow.
So I sampled those in there.
Man. Oh, dude, I can't wait to listen to this.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, it's just kind of a collection of all kinds of different things. So you're going to get from the start to the end, you're going to go on a little journey, and it's not very long. It's like 40 minutes long, I think, when it's all said and done.
Nice. Super cool.
Yeah.
And where can people get it, the album?
It'll be wherever you stream music, Apple, Spotify, all of that.
Nice. How can people help or support your businesses, or just you in general, or anybody else?
Yeah. Come buy lots of coffee. That would be great. Yeah. Buy as much coffee as you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
That would be a huge support.
Yeah. Okay. You heard it, folks.
Yep.
Do it.
Do it. I do. I'll give one more plug, because I'm convoluted and have too many things going on, but I do play drums in another band.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's a good
we
time to mention this.
Yeah, at the end. We haven't talked about it the whole time because it was irrelevant to that, but we'll just do one more little plug.
Yes, please.
To make the podcast longer.
Right.
If anyone's going to listen this far.
We might clip this. Who knows?
Yeah. But I play in a band called Juniper Lights.
Oh, wow.
Our bass player lives in Nashville, and our guitar player lives in North Carolina, and we collaborate that way, and we have stuff on Spotify and Apple, Amazon, all those places as well.
Nice, man. So Juniper Lights. And the name of your solo project
is called The Cedar Shakes.
Cedar Shakes.
The Cedar Shakes.
There you go.
Yep.
So look it up, folks. Buy some coffee. Support what they're doing over there in West Frankfort. It's super, super cool.
Yeah.
John, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you, Luke.
It's been a good one. Be checking out for the Union Street session coming up real soon.
Yeah.
Be checking out where you can stream that on YouTube. It'll be all posted there. John, super excited to have you at Art in the Garden upcoming.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a fun
one. Yeah,
one.
looking forward to it.
So hope to see you guys there. Hope to see you at the coffee shop. And, tune into the next one. Subscribe, like it, share this post. Support local, guys.
That's
super important.
Do it. It's the heartbeat. Final frontier.
Let's do it. All right.
Cool.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Okay, man.
Dude.
That was good.
Was it? What? I feel like I probably rambled too much. There's